Hi everyone, just getting started here. Want to work through the StockCalc website. I'm in the home page, so you would okay, I was getting an echo, sorry. When you log in, you come into the home page and still getting an echo. My apologies. So just have to get rid of this. Okay. All right. On the home page, you see three panels for finding opportunities, value and analyze, and collaborate. Finding opportunities is a way to build your portfolio very quickly. We have a number of screens that are available to auto-generate the lists of companies that meet certain criteria. So for example, if I click on dividend stocks, it takes a few seconds for it to load. It generates a list of companies on the different exchanges that match the criteria that we've set out. So the way our screener works is you can select the exchanges that you're interested in. You can actually select dates and you can go back in time to screen that way as well. And we have quite a list of criteria available that lets you select specifics of what you're looking for. The ones that you saw on the home page, we've built automatically to run. So a beta between 0 and 1, a close price of $20 or higher, a dividend yield of 3%, and an earnings per share growth 1 year of at least 10%. And here are the stocks that meet that criteria. If you want, you can actually save that as a portfolio. Change the name right here. Save this displayed list as a portfolio, and then look at it later in the portfolio section and actually run analysis on all of the companies in the portfolio. So that's the focus of the screening section or the screening panel on the home page. You can actually go directly and screen for stocks starting with a clean slate, or we have a running list of undervalued companies that we actually use our 6 criteria to generate. And I'll get into that a little bit more in detail. The value of an analyze is to look at one company in detail. So let me try, let's run Facebook. So if I run Facebook, what we're doing is we're running a fundamental valuation or a number of fundamental valuations of the company that we enter here. So in this case, Facebook as the example, we're going to generate a variety of analysis on the company. So it takes a few seconds for it to load because it's running all of the data real time. It's looking at all of the most recent data to generate the valuation. We can take a look at the report. We can see Facebook closed at $139 yesterday. Based on the analysis that we have a number of different models or data points. There's up to 6. There's 5 models and 1 data point with the analyst consensus information that we have. So you can actually see some are above, some are below the current share price. The models that we've ran on Facebook include a discounted cash flow, a comparables, multiples, adjusted book value, and then the analyst data. I'll just quickly go through these. Discounted cash flow, we actually take cash flow projections, discount them back to the present, and generate a valuation from them there. So if I click on below, I can jump right down to the discounted cash flow model. A lot of detail here, the cash flows, the tax rates, capital investments. So all of this data is generated from within the site. But the nice thing is you can actually go into the site, for example, into the value menu here, discounted cash flow, and you can adjust and run sensitivity analysis on all of the data that's in here to see what if. So what if the terminal growth rate is 3.5 instead of 2.9? What kind of an impact will that have on the calculated value per share, for example? I can go back to the top of the report here. So that's true for all of these models. You can see a quick synopsis, and then the details are all down below. I won't go into all of the detail here, but because part of this is really about the navigation and the functionality of the site. But if you have specific questions, you can certainly post them in the chat. If I go back to the home, you can look at Collaborate as well. So Collaborate means to look at the data rooms. So I have a few data rooms, for example. If I click on Apple, you can see the conversations that are in there. There's not very much in the data rooms currently. These are just coming out. You can post in here. The nice thing is you can actually share analysis in the data rooms as well. So for example, I have a forecast that I generated for Apple using the Analyst Forecast module, and I could actually share that into the room. You can see that I have in the past, and it's available in the room scripts. So in the room scripts, you could actually click on this because I've shared it, and you can see the analysis that I ran on the company. And that's Facebook. So the Apple, that must be an older analysis. I'll go back to the data rooms. If I take a look at my scripts, I will share this one. Then we should see it in the room scripts. So here it is. I click on it. Excuse me. So I'll return to the home. You can see the navigation is with the bars at either end. You can actually navigate through the menu system as well. There's a lot to the site. These are the main pages: home, research, portfolio, data rooms, snapshot, and dashboard. So we've been working from the home page. If we go into the research page, we can access it here, here, or here. You can see the different modules that are available. So the ability to screen for data we've talked about. Query allows us, excuse me, direct access to the underlying data. So you can see, for example, that we have all of the tables that are in the database available here. We can select any of these tables. When we select a table, we get all of the fields that are available in those tables. And we can select from those fields. We can actually get very specific. For example, if we wanted symbol equal to MSFT for Microsoft, for example. Here we have symbol equal to AAPL. This is the example that we've done. If we need to clear that and reset it, or if we want to put a date range in there, any of the fields that we have in here we can use to generate the results. When we're done setting up the query, we simply click Generate Query, and it takes us into the results. So you can actually see the raw data here. And then we can graph that raw data as well. Backtesting lets us step back in time and say, what if? So, for example, if you wanted to take a look at a company and say, I want to buy it on the basis of price to book ratio, excuse me, you can load the company, load the price to book ratio, take a look at the trend over time, and then start to play around with when you would buy or sell. This can work very well for companies in the commodity space, for example. The forecasting tools let us project the financial statements into the future. So here you can see we auto-loaded Facebook. Pardon me. Here's the consensus information that we have on the company. With that, we actually generate a forecast. I'll use the arrows to minimize the screen, make some more room. So you can see the revenue, cost of revenue, gross profit, and all of the projections into 2017, 18, 19, based on the analyst data if we have it. And if we don't have it, we can do it on the basis of growth projections. So you can actually see some very strong growth projections for Facebook here in the models. We're at 33, 40, and 50 in growth projections. The analyst data is saying 37, 46. It's even stronger, 56. So So the analyst projections are even stronger than the growth projections that we have built in for the sector that Facebook is in. That's where these are derived from. The valuation menu in research has things like cost of capital. And every time we run something from the home page, they get auto-generated. So you can see the weighted average cost of capital for Facebook here. Discounted cash flow model, all the detail, the same sort of detail you saw in the report. Capitalized cash flows, comparables, multiples. So this is comparing a company to itself over time to value it. Liquidation and adjusted book values, both balance sheet measures. I don't want to get into too much detail at this point. I think the best way to approach this when you're starting out is run some companies that you're familiar with and value and analyze. Go in and look at the report. Look at the details in the report, start working through that, and then you will see all of the supporting models within the research page. So once the data is loaded, you can take a look at the report in great detail. These little arrows are helpful to make some more room on your screen as well too. Next step is the portfolio page. So for example, I just have a small sample portfolio here I call US large caps. I can create a new portfolio. I can add companies to this portfolio. I can delete the portfolio. So I have a sample company here. You can see 54321 in cash, 123 456 in bond value. I have a few companies in here: Apple, Google, GE, Cisco, Toronto Dominion Bank. The purchase price, the number of shares and the purchase price and the data are all recorded. I record them whenever I add a new company. I put that information in. The purchase value is calculated. The current price is grabbed from a 15-minute delay. It calculates the current value. So this is a standard portfolio. You've got gain or loss, percent of your portfolio, percent gain or loss, and percent of your portfolio as holdings. So this is a standard portfolio that you would see in a number of different sites. What we do with it is, since we have so many valuation models, we can actually run the valuation models on these companies. And you'll see that it takes a few seconds for each company to run through here. So while that's running, I'll come back to this in a minute. I'll just go to the next set of rooms. So the data rooms we've looked at already. The snapshot lets us enter a company and we can see all of the financials, income statements, balance sheets, cash flows, the ratios, any of the information that's on the company, its description, etc. And there's a summary that's generated as well. So if I go back, if I run Facebook again, for example, I load it into the snapshot. It takes a second or two to grab the data. You can see standard sort of information on where is it trading, what does it look like right now, what's the chart look like over the last year, and then all of the financial data, balance sheets, cash flows, quarterly, annual, all the ratio data, 4 different sets of ratio data, things like return on equity and so forth. And all of this data can be accessed through the query in the research menu. So you can actually drill down and say, I want to see companies that have a receivables turnover of between 8 and 8.5, for example. And Facebook would get picked up in that query, for example. So because the data is all here, any of this data that you see, you can actually access through the query menus back in research. Finally, the dashboard is a collection point for all of the analysis that you've run. You can see information on the companies that are in your portfolio. You can compare and contrast very quickly as well. Look at the charts. Any of the analysis that you've ran show up as cards here. These cards can actually be shared into the data rooms. So if I look at the data rooms, if I'm in Caterpillar, for example, I can load that right here. There's no information in that room. I could actually drag and drop this into the Caterpillar data room if I want to share that analysis into the room. Go back to the portfolio. So the companies have all been ran. You see number of shares, price paid, current price, and then the 6 valuation models that we have. Discounted cash flow, price comparables. So comparing companies on the basis of 5 ratios. such as price to earnings and price to book. Other comparables, we use this for companies that have little or no revenue or negative cash flow, for example. Ways to compare companies that don't have any metrics that we use for standard cash flow based companies. Multiples is a way to look at the company against itself over time. Adjusted book value is similar in that we take the balance sheet, we can adjust the balance sheet to reflect what we think fair market value is on the balance sheet and come up with a calculation for the company on that basis. And finally, if we have analyst coverage for the companies, what the analysts are saying about the valuation for the company. So I'll just return home. Home is really the central page that I certainly use when I'm going through the site. So again, you can quickly build a portfolio, screen for companies. Said I would come back to the view undervalued stocks. So when I click on that, it takes a few seconds to load this because it's going through the database. I'm doing a lot of calculations, and what it's looking for are companies where we have 6 out of 6 of the valuation models less than the close price for the company. So a close price of $13, and you can see everything here is above that. If I look into the list here, there are upwards of 200 companies that currently meet all of that criteria. There's 9,000 companies in the database, and we have 200 that are completely undervalued on the basis of all of the models that we have. You can actually go through here, and if you click on, so you can see they're all true. This really is, if I click on this, I can say, well, I'm just interested in the ones where the analyst target is less than the close price and the discounted cash flow is less than the close price, and the price comparables. So what are those? What do those mean? They're all explained right here. You can see discounted cash flow, price comparables, other comparables. So we have the background, the information right there. So that's an overview of StockCalc. In later videos, webinars, we will be able to go into more detail, go into the details on the reports and so forth, but this gives you a good introduction. And the opportunity is really to start with some companies you're familiar with, run them through Value and Analyze, take a look at the details, use the screening tools to quickly build portfolios, run analysis on those portfolios, so you can generate complete valuation on any one stock, generate the valuation on all of the stocks that you have in a portfolio, or look at all of the companies that we consider to be undervalued by the models that we have within StockCalc. You can use traditional screening techniques as well too. If you, for example, want companies with a price to earnings ratio less than 10 and return on equity minimum of 15, those sorts of common screens that are used, looking for quality companies that are undervalued, you can use those as well. But we're quite unique in that by having the valuations, those 6 different valuation points for each company, you can really look at in good detail, is the company truly undervalued on a fundamental basis? That's really our core advantage at StockCalc. So that's what we have. If there are any questions, please share them in the chat, and I will log into the chat to see what's there. Okay, if there's no questions, we have a lot of contact information on the site, so please feel free to get in touch with us if you have any specific questions. And thank you for your interest in StockCalc.